What time do you usually get up? I usually get up at 6 o'clock. What do you usually do after getting up? I usually take a bath after getting up. What time do you usually have breakfast? I usually have breakfast at 6:30. What do you usually have for breakfast? I usually have fried rice for breakfast. With whom do you usually have breakfast? I usually have breakfast with my family. What time do you usually go to school? I usually go to school at 7 o'clock. How do you usually go to school? I usually go to school by motorcycle. With whom do you usually go to school? I usually go to school with my mother. What time does your school begin? My school usually begins at 7:30. What time do you usually have lunch? I usually have lunch at 12 o'clock. Where do you usually have lunch? I usually have lunch at canteen. With whom do you usually have lunch? I usually have lunch with my friends. What time do you usually go home? I usually go home at 2 o'clock. How do you usually go home? I usually go home by motorcycle. With whom do you usually go home? I usually go home with my father. What do you usually do after arriving at home? I usually take a rest after arriving at home. What time do you usually have dinner? I usually have dinner at 7 o'clock. What do you usually have for dinner? I usually have rice and fried fish for dinner. With whom do you usually have dinner? I usually have dinner with my family. What time do you usually study at home? I usually study at 8 o'clock. What time do you usually go to bed? I usually go to bed at 10 o'clock. Thank you.